everybody. Welcome. It is Monday, May 3rd. Welcome to the Finance, Administration, and Police Subcommittee for the City of Cloverdale. I will be the lone council member at this meeting, apparently. And so that takes roll call off of our list of to-dos. But we will call the meeting to order. And are there any communications we need to be made aware of, Irene?
No communications were received, Chair.
All right, well, seeing that, we'll move on to public comment. This is where members of the public may comment on any matter that is not on today's agenda. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Irene will put up a timer for 3 minutes and you'll be able to see that on your screen. If you're dialing in, I'll be sure to remind you that you're getting close to your 3 minutes. You can make any comments on items that are, again, not on today's agenda, and but you may save your comments to items that are on the subcommittee's agenda today when they come up. To make a public comment, use the raised hand icon on your smart device or desktop computer, or dial *9 if you are just using your telephone. Irene, do we have anyone from the public raising their hand on an item not on today's agenda?
Nope, no hands are raised, Chair.
Oh, right. Well, we'll go on to item 4, an approval of the minutes from April 5th, and they looked as if they were in order to me. So we'll go ahead and consider those to be approved. And we will move on to item 5, current items for discussion, and Bay Run Water Upgrades SAVE program. And I imagine we're going to hear from Chris Cohn and City Manager. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you, Councilmember Bagby, Chair Bagby. I'll introduce this item. And then we can turn it over to our regional expert, Chris Cohn, to give you a more detailed presentation. So Chris Cohn from RCPA, or the Regional Climate Protection Authority, is going to present an overview of Bay Run's Water Upgrade SAVE program. This is a collaboration between ABAG, or the Association of Bay Area Governments, Bay Run, and a number of Bay Area municipal water utilities. This program is a turnkey program that allows utility customers to finance water conservation, energy efficiency improvements on their bill. And it basically does it in a manner that enables customers who upgrade their water utilities and their energy efficient, or their energy consuming devices with energy efficient devices, to pay for the cost savings through on-bill financing. So with that said, I'll just turn it over to Chris Cohn, and Chris can take it away. Chris.
Great, thank you, David. Appreciate that. I'm going to share my screen here and see if I can. Oh, it always does this to me.
You know, Chris, while you're queuing that up, I'll just say that, you know, in full disclosure, I am on Chris's board at SCTA RCPA. So, but I don't think I've seen this complete description or complete presentation. So it's great that we get a chance for city staff and council members to ask any questions about that. I'm sure Susie's going to have a lot of input on this. And actually, I have a couple of questions just about, you know, how we are, you know, set up to handle this with the new possibly with OpenGov, or, you know, the billing system we're currently using is going to be easy to implement, things like that, because this is the right committee to do that too. We're police, finance, and administration. This is where those kinds of things happen before it goes to the city council. So we'll have, you know, functionality questions, and then probably any words of wisdom or feedback you've gotten from other cities who have implemented this and sure. Similar. Yeah, we'll probably be interested in that as well. So
great. Well, happy to answer your questions and dive into whatever details are pertinent for your consideration. So as David mentioned, this is a program from the Bay Area Regional Energy Network. And just briefly, before I hang on, there we go. Of which Sonoma County is a member, and RCPA is the member representative for Sonoma County. They, in addition to our program, they also run programs for single family, multifamily, commercial, green labeling and home energy score services, as well as provide support for codes and standards to municipal entities around the Bay Area. And I just want to mention before I dive into the program, as you all know, drought is upon us again. Our county and Mendocino and Marin are sort of the hot spot right now, but the governor is anticipating expanding that to other areas of the state. It's a hot topic right now. Also, the climate change research shows that while we will get wet seasons, they will be sporadic and more intense, and we can expect longer and drier periods in between. So this is a kind of new reality. And because of that, the state changed its water policy in a big way in 2016, adopting an ongoing conservation approach versus the emergency type of strategy that existed before. And lastly, saving water is a big greenhouse gas option for climate change mitigation, because the pumping, treating, and heating of water comprise 20% of electricity and 30% of consumer natural gas demand in California. And that's why they call this the water energy nexus, because we save a gallon of water, you're not only saving the water, but you're saving the energy that is required to deliver and treat and heat that water. So Water Upgrade Save is a tariff on-bill program, as David mentioned. The customer offer is that the utility customer can install eligible water and energy upgrades with little to no upfront cost. And we do this using the utility approved on-bill charge that is very carefully calculated to be significantly lower than the estimated savings. And that means that participants pay as they save, using a portion of their savings to pay for the project over time with the on-bill charge. And this is possible because of the 80% rule. The monthly on-bill charge can be no greater than 80% of the estimated savings, and the repayment period no longer than 80% of the upgrade's useful life. There are other assurances that the customers receive, including the little to no upfront payment, no new debt obligation, no credit check, no lien. Participants pay only while they are a utility customer at the meter location, and a guarantee that failed measures are repaired or the payment obligation is terminated. So the program serves single family and multifamily customers with indoor and outdoor upgrades. The estimated savings on each on-bill charge includes water, sewer, and water heating savings. In addition, we are currently developing leak detection and repair, as well as commercial food service upgrades to add to the program. The leak detection repair is especially important because of the state emphasis on addressing leaks in the water grid, both on the utility as well as the customer side. One of the nice things about our program is that it complements and can be bundled with existing rebate programs, such as those that are available through the Saving Water Partnership that you joined just a week or so ago. So Water Upgrade Save can provide both the indoor and outdoor services with no additional staff time or budget from the utility, while the rebate programs can be strategically used to add value and supporting services in order to deliver an expanded offer to the water customer. So as mentioned, this is a regional program, and it really is about utility investment capital and the installation of project at customer locations using a turnkey service. The program supports the water utility conservation goals. It facilitates access to low-cost capital to underwrite the customer projects. It provides streamlined customer services and serves property owners as well as renters. And it is based on 3 pilots that BayREN has conducted at the Town of Windsor, City of Hayward, and East Bay Municipal Utilities District. And those 3 pilots completed 584 multifamily and 247 single-family projects during their operation. In addition, the program helps local governments, residents, and businesses pursue grades that require building codes, time of sale requirements, and the increasing water use targets that the state is rolling out. So one of the characteristics of the program is that it is what we call inclusive financing approach. And that removes the upfront cost and credit barriers for customers. As I mentioned earlier, serves property owners and renters. It enables water utilities to invest in behind the meter or customer side infrastructure and address things like leaks. And as well as it provides customers a pathway to do more with their property because it is part of the BayREN suite of programs of which any water customer would be apprised should they join Water Upgrade Save. So one of the key components of this is that we are a tariff on bill program. So it is not a consumer loan and it is not a rebate. The on-bill financing mechanism provides capital to facilitate the utilities investment for the public benefit. We do this using the utilities rate setting authority to recover the investment in customer side projects with the on-bill charge. The capital provider, who in this case is ABAG, pays for services rendered to install the upgrades for participating customers. Then the utility collects the on-bill charge at the meter location and makes full repayment of the invested capital to ABAG. So some of the additional benefits are that this is a regionally funded program, so there is no need to set aside utility budget to participate. The customer side investment is part of state policy, and in this program, the utility has a bit more control over the scale of that investment and where those investments are made. The reduction in demand to meet drought and conservation targets. A feature of this program is that the utility can set its own goal for reduction demand. We understand that water retail sales are utilities' revenue source. And so having control over how demand is reduced is an important benefit to utilities. It's a turnkey program. We have an excellent program operator ready to provide all the customer services that are needed to install the projects. In addition, it delivers immediate customer savings. So participants are using their savings to pay the on-bill charge, and that supports their ability to make those repayments. So the customer journey is pretty simple. Customer receives a letter from the city utility and schedules a free audit. Our water specialist visits the location, determines what equipment is there, runs flow rate tests on faucets and shower heads to collect a really solid data set on that property. And then, you know, we're all digital these days, so they'll have a tablet or iPad there. They can walk through the product selection with the customer, execute a participant agreement digitally, and then assist the customer in scheduling a program contractor to come at a date and time that works for the customer. Then the program contractor comes, they know exactly what they're doing. They install it at the time that the customer selected. The program operator notifies the utility after they've inspected the installation to ensure that everything is correct. The utility begins the on-bill charge and the process of repaying ABAG, and the customer receives, a portion of their savings from the beginning and uses the remaining to cover the on-bill charge. So this is a customer-friendly process that our program operator is currently using with at least 4 electric cooperatives on the East Coast. So it is being used successfully in the field already. And of course, we have COVID-19 safety protocols in place too for both the assessment visit and the contractor visit to protect the customer and the program representatives.
Chris, I was wondering, could you repeat something, because you blipped out for me. Can you just go back probably about 30 seconds where you were talking about the other 4 entities, and can you just repeat that, because I just lost my audio.
Okay, so on the customer journey piece here?
Yes.
Yes.
I think it might have only been me. I don't know if it was anybody else, but.
Sure, I can quickly run through it. It's pretty much what it says on the screen, but the customer gets a letter from the city. They schedule this free audit. The water specialist shows up. They look at all the equipment that's there. They collect the data. Okay, program operator comes at the time that works for the customer and installs the upgrades. Program operator vets the installation to ensure that everything's correct, lets the utility know this is a completed project. Utility begins the on-bill charge and the process of periodically collecting the charge and repaying to ABAG. And then the customer receives an immediate portion of their savings while using the 80% to cover their on-bill charge during the cost recovery term.
I think it was about the administrator of the program. That's the part that I missed.
Oh, okay, sorry. So our program operator.
That was it. That's where I lost you.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry.
So our program operator is a company named Utility, and they
Utility.
operate.
Okay, that's right. I lost it from there. I couldn't get the name of. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. That's the part.
Yeah, well, we feel very lucky because Utility is a specialist in tariffed on-bill programs, and they are using this current customer journey process for 4 electric cooperatives back east. In that case, what they're installing are, air sealing, furnaces, energy measures, not water measures, but it is the same program design and same customer journey that they're using successfely with these electric cooperatives.
Great, thank you. That was the part that I lost.
Okay.
And I want to be. I know that we are going to, it's differentiated because it's just interestingly, Sonoma Clean Powers rebates are going to be handling those technologies. So we're going to have a pretty nice suite of areas in which customers can save. So that's going to be great.
Yes,
they really complement each other.
They do. Sonoma Power, CPA, the Sonoma County Energy and Sustainability Division are like the 3 program implementers in the county, and we meet regularly to coordinate our processes and find ways to bundle things for customers. So there's a proactive effort underway here to make this as seamless as possible for anybody in Sonoma County.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, so
great. I think I'm caught up.
Okay, great. So we looked at the your current water rates and scenario 3 to prepare this slide that gives you a kind of side-by-side look at what a potential impact for a water customer would be. We based it on the water rate study and averages for natural gas use for water heating. So this is a scenario based on averages, but it gives you a sense that there's a real impact here for water customers. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have on this. So I'm going to keep moving. We can always come back.
Are we good so
So-
far? Any questions?
Chris, if you wouldn't mind, just take a moment, just real quick to just walk through the 4 scenarios there. I see there's 2 no upgrades and then there's 2 indoor upgrades. Just a brief overview of the kind of the two scenarios.
Got it. So the 2 columns on the left are with current rates. So first column is your current rates based on a single family home with, I think it's 3 or 4 people in it. And, an average toilet capacity these days. So we set up a story for that household and then based all these estimates off that story. So first column on the left is current rates for a single family home. Second column on the left would be that same home if it was participating in water upgrade save. Then we move on to scenario 3, which you considered on the 14th for rate increases. And then the same thing, the final column would be that same customer under the new rates and what their bill would be if they were a water upgrades save customer.
Got it. And it appears that under the proposed rate scenario 3 that has not been adopted by council, under the proposed program, the savings would actually be greater than the savings under the current rate structure. Looks like under the current rate structure, savings would be slightly more than $11.
Right.
And they would be under the proposed scenario 3 rate structure, they would be about $12.
Yeah, slightly over.
Is
Yes,
it the
and
compound? Is it the compound savings of you're using less water, so you're heating less water, so you're saving more gas? Is that how that?
it's actually based on, the higher the water rates, the more you save per gallon of water. The
Oh, okay.
The heating component is based on what you're paying to PG&E for your natural gas, because I'm going to assume people are still on natural gas. But the thing that changes in these 2 scenarios here are your water and sewer rates as they are now and as proposed. And so, yeah, the higher the rates in a jurisdiction, the more savings a customer will accrue from each gallon that they don't use.
Yeah, Chris, it'll be really interesting to see if people combine, some of the opportunities with Bayren and some of the opportunities with the Sonoma Clean Power and Skype, and just it would be interesting to see kind of what the cumulative, maybe low-hanging fruit would be at some point.
Yes, it can be bundled, and also I think one of the big opportunities here is working with Sonoma Marin's Saving Water Partnership, because
Yep.
You guys will be designing programs as part of your membership there, and if our program were in Cloverdale, then those dollars, those rebate dollars, could be focused on priorities, not on the basics, because we'd have that covered, but on the extra priorities, the value add priorities, like expanding the ability of outdoor projects, making it easier and more affordable for folks to do those kinds of things. So
That's one of my notes later to yeah. Is how do we stack all of these opportunities to get people as much savings as we can and make it easy to understand? Because I think that's going to be one of the challenges is, when you have to apply for rebates from multiple places and do a lot of different paperwork, that can be really hard. So I think it's really going to be our job to make that really clear, communicate that very clearly to people, what the process is, and what the different entities are and how they can make it all work together for themselves.
Yes. Exactly. That's definitely we want to leave here. But, the real point here is that as a sort of baseline program that doesn't take utility budget and very, very little utility staff time, just in regards to the billing, a billing process there. Then those other dollars that traditionally were the baseline can now be re-envisioned and focused on where the opportunity is highest for a given jurisdiction. So we're hoping, and in partnering with utilities, to work with them on crafting that complementary relationship on behalf of the customer.
Well, I got to tell you, Chris, your timing can be better between the drought and our increased water rates. Man, you're going to be very popular here in Cloverdale.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear it. So that's a perfect segue.
Oh, and Susie, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just have one quick question, and maybe you're going to get to it, but what is the average on bill? What would that be? Would it be $12 a month?
It would be a portion of that. So it's that 80% rule that I mentioned earlier. Say if your savings were $12 a month, then your on-bill charge would be in the neighborhood of $9.
Got it.
You're using 80% of that savings to pay the on-bill charge.
And is that something that the city would calculate, or is that something that would be?
That's our water specialist when they visit somebody's home. We have already done all the water calculations for all of this. And they take the data that they collect to determine, how much water this customer is going to save. Do they have a 3-gallon toilet? They're going to save a lot more water than somebody with a 1.6 or something that's a little more efficient. So they take all that data and they actually calculate for the customer what their estimated savings is. And then the on-bill charge can be no higher than 80% of that savings.
Got it. I understand.
And the heart of the program is that the customer begins saving right away without having to go into debt or put out any money up front.
Thank you.
And
You're
Chris,
welcome.
what is the typical term?
It's 10 years
Right, great,
for these projects.
So it's not, you don't have to wait 20 years to get out of this. It's gonna be 10 years and you're paid and
You're done. You
Okay.
own it all.
Okay.
The utility owns the equipment when it gets installed, then the
Right.
customer pays it off. And by the end, the customer owns it. So this utility investment is like a temporary investment in order to make it easy for the customer to make the upgrade.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Susie.
Okay, that brings up another question then. If if the customer moves, if they're a renter and they move before the 10 years, how would we process that?
Yeah. So this is a little bit like PACE in that the participation in the program and the on-bill charge are with the meter. So if somebody owns a single-family home and they enroll, and 5 years later they get a job in another state and they sell the house, when they initially enroll, a notice is filed with the recorder's office for that property that says this property is in this program for a period of time. The new homeowner, person who buys that, will receive that notice in their packet of everything they get when they're in a real estate sale, as well as when they contact the utility to set up their water account. There would be a mechanism to inform them again that this meter is part of a program, and then they get the savings that the equipment is producing every day. They also inherit the remaining on-bill charge, but they're in the same position as the original customer. they're getting savings and using a portion of the savings to gradually pay off that investment. So they bought the house. They also own that new toilet that went in 5 years ago.
And
Yeah,
is it the multifamily rental?
This is, it's also true for multifamily. In that case, the customer is the property owner and not the renter, because they typically are the water customer. It gets very complex pretty quickly with multifamily, because you have master meters and then you have properties where the renters have the water account. So there's a mix of ways in which that plays out. But in the end, the multifamily property owner is the signatory to committing to the program. And then, but they get upgraded equipment in their property. And if they're nice about it, they pass along that savings to the renters. So it's the same process, but just handled a little differently, because the situation is a different is different from single family.
Yeah, it really is just like the
That makes
basic
sense.
program for solar, isn't it, Chris? Except that the term's shorter because the equipment is considerably less than a solar installation, it sounds like.
Yeah,
Okay.
This program is not meant to do like $50,000
Right.
projects at somebody's home.
Right.
We're going in strategically to get these really productive, very affordable measures that, deliver quality to the customer and also help the jurisdiction meet its goals, all without putting anybody into debt.
Yeah, toilet's a lot less than a solar panel. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
just the ratio of, if we were paying what natural gas really costs, it might be a different story. But right now, we're just focusing this on the water sector and these affordable upgrades that can be accommodated in this program design.
Great. Yeah. Any
Okay,
other
so I
questions?
know-
Yeah, that was a really juicy slide. Thank you, David, for yeah. No, because there's a lot of information there to just sort of absorb and understand. And it's like, how does it work and how do we get to those numbers? So yeah, anything else, Susie? Or
Think I have one more question.
Sure.
So, if there's an empty home for, I don't know, let's say 3 months that already had that, what I'm hearing is that if the renter pays the water bill, but the owner is the one who has the loan, right, with AVAG, then we would give them 3 months grace period, and then the rest of it would roll over to the new tenant.
You're talking about a multifamily property?
Even if it's a single family, but it's a rental.
yeah, it's more, I think it would happen more at a rental house, that scenario.
Yeah.
Right. So when the customer who's leaving closes their account, if the renter's coming in right away, then they open a new account and the on-bill charge becomes part of that new account. If there's a gap between the first renter and the second renter, then the landlord would open a temporary service and the on-bill charge would become part of that. Does that make sense?
That does.
Yeah, because in instances where they might need to paint, like they may need to paint or do some repairs or something like that, they may have an empty, but hopefully they've got the water on.
Yeah, well, that's it. They're probably going to want the water on while they're doing their rehab or whatever they're doing. So it just stays with the meter, whether it goes directly from one renter to the next, or if there's a gap in between where the landlord is basically the water customer for a period of time before the new renter comes on board.
And Chris, in that instance, would the owner be fully apprised of that through the agreement that they signed, that, in the case there is a lapse between renters, that they're aware that they're gonna make that interim payment or payments?
Yes, in the case of a renter joining the program, they need approval and permission from the property owner. So there's a mechanism in the paperwork where the property owner signs off. They've been apprised, they understand their role in this. So that, yes, they know everything about it from day one. So I don't want to take up too much time, but just briefly here, it's, the sign up process is pretty straightforward. We have a master agreement between the utility and ABAG that is about the capital piece. And also the utility would adopt a fee schedule for the program. And that's that rate setting authority that underpins this program design. Then in the second step, utility decides which customers to target and how much of a reduction you want to achieve, and in order to balance your revenue situation. There's also an option for the utility to participate project inspection or marketing if that's an interest. Then as each project is completed in step 3, the on-bill charge goes into effect and the utility begins collecting the on-bill charge, repaying ABAG. We also have a utility fee of up to 2% that can be added to each project in order to cover the utility's costs in administering the on-bill charge. Because we do understand that there is a little bit of time, once it's set up, there's an ongoing responsibility there. And then finally, we work with each partner utility to target customers and co-brand and, work on get your input on the outreach and who you would like to extend this to and what messages in your community you feel would be effective. So we have a video on our website that's for utility managers. It's pretty good, as well as a utility brief. I believe I already sent that to you, David, but those items are available with more detail. And then I just wanted to close with our first utility is opening its doors in a couple of weeks. So the city of Sebastopol joined. We're going to be visiting customer homes on May 24th. Our customer letters just went out to single family water customers in Sebastopol. We're already getting folks visiting the website in a response to the letters. And we have conversations going with 5 other Sonoma County utilities as well. So interest in the program is definitely growing as word gets out. And that's my presentation. Happy to take more questions.
Great, thank you, Chris. Any questions from staff before I just open it up for public comment? I know we don't have a lot of attendees today, but.
Madam Chair, if I could, I have a question for Chris regarding the implementation of the program. I think I heard you say early on that we could actually tailor the program. And what came to mind was whether we could tailor it geographically to say target certain, I could see we could do it citywide, or is there logic in maybe targeting older residential neighborhoods, because maybe those areas tend to have a greater set of older fixtures where they're going to generate greater cost savings and greater conservation.
Yes, absolutely. Looking at the housing stock and the age of the housing stock is one way to make sure the message is getting to people who would benefit from it. But when we worked in Windsor, and that's, you know, a fairly new community compared to some, even then, their average toilet flush capacity was just over 1.8. You know, it was not bad, but we went in with our less than 1 gallon per flush toilets and actually, you know, projects penciled, because the equipment that's available these days is very effective. So even communities that in the past have made, you know, big efforts to switch out the 3 gallon toilets, there are still savings to be accrued from equipment that's, you know, that might be in a newer home.
Got it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know if we even want to do it by area, because I know that, you know, when we moved into our house 20 years ago, which is about the time that some of the newer houses in Cloverdale went in. And we actually have a 1.5 gallon that got replaced at that time. And there's a far more efficient one that we got under the last toilet program. So we have one that's, you know, pretty good at 1.5, and then the other one, it's the super low flow. And so I think that even with like areas like the Cottages and Del Webb, there, you know, or Clover Springs, there might be some opportunities there, because there might just be some older technology toilets in there. So yeah, why not? Or
Well,
they have, or their mom lives across town and has an older one, and the only way it's going to get done is if they do it, you know, and so they need to know about it too.
There's yeah, there's a lot of opportunity out there in houses of varying ages, but of course the older ones typically tend to have more because it's older equipment. But
Right, or they're so old they were replaced 15 or 20 years ago. And then they're ready again.
Yes. And the other thing is that state code keeps evolving. So what was up to code 10 years ago or 5 years ago isn't, you know, they keep pushing it, and water conservation is a huge state issue. You know, you can put up lots of solar panels and lots of turbines, because wind and sun are just kind of endless resources, but water is not. It is a finite resource. So, you know, the focus on managing our water use very carefully and considerately is a high priority.
Yeah, the time is now.
Yeah.
Definitely. So can we go ahead and open it up, Irene? Are there any questions from anyone from the public, or any comments?
No hands are raised, Chair.
Okay, great. All right, so what's the next step, David?
Well, I understand the next step is for our city attorney to conduct a review of the master agreement, and
It's nice and short and sweet. Yeah.
and then you know, we want to make sure we can agree to the agreement, you know, from a legal perspective, and ultimately then bring it to council to support implementation of the program. And Chris, you know, I anticipate there would be the need for some training for our staff, and also as part of implementation, developing promotional materials that could, you know, be provided to the community that this program is now available. But if there's any
Yes.
other that I'm missing, please feel free
We
to-
have custom materials already developed that can be co-branded with the city. There is an onboarding process, because we do need to work with those in the billing department to, you know, set up how we're going to communicate as projects are completed. And also to get your input on how the marketing and outreach in your community, the ways, you know, your ideas about what is going to work well in Cloverdale, because each community is a little different. So we have a series of onboarding meetings with appropriate staff for the topic, that serve as an orientation and allow us to set up the systems for the program to begin.
Great. And Susie, do you feel like you've gotten most of your questions answered? It's just, I mean, I'll be, it may be too soon, but I'm definitely curious or I just want to make sure that our current billing system and our current operations, this is going to be something we'll be able to fold in and won't be a huge heavy lift for you and your department.
Right. Well, I'm happy to hear that Sebastopol is doing this already because they have the same software system.
Oh,
we do.
and they're as lean as we are too.
Yes. So,
Okay.
and we, we have good contacts there. So I feel like we can copy them.
Okay. And that is the highest form of flattery. So.
Right.
Yeah, and I know our CPA is always there to help with assistance
Yes,
as well. So.
And our program team is very knowledgeable in this. Most of us have been with this program model for the last 10 years. So through all the 3 pilots, so there's a real bank of expertise there to support you and make sure all your questions are answered.
Oh, that's actually really good to know. It's like been there, done that for our CPA staff. So that's great.
Yeah.
Well, just, I mean, I'm sure, we alluded to it in this meeting. And I think I've told you too, is that we've had a fairly recent, pretty big rate hike in Cloverdale, and folks were, a lot of folks were very upset. A lot of folks were moderately concerned at all levels. And I was very happy to know that this was on the horizon. That kind of help is on the way, and it's just one thing that this is just one program that we can offer folks to help them with their water bill and their water reduction. So I think this is going to be a very, very welcome program.
Great. Well, and Susie, I'm happy to answer questions at any time. So just reach out if something comes to mind.
Thank you. I definitely will.
Great. All right. Well, with that, I think thank you, Chris. Thanks for coming and bringing this to us. I think it's going to be a great resource for city staff and the community. So I'm looking forward to it. Unless anything else, David? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we'll work with Ms. Cohn and her team at RCPA to schedule this to bring forward to City Council. In between now and then, we'll make sure that where the master service agreement is in a form that the city attorney approves, and also do our due diligence in terms of our ERP and make sure it's going to work for us with Springbrook. If there's any other upgrades or code changes that we might need to facilitate the on-bill financing piece, we'll definitely want to do that check and include that in any of our necessary kind of pre-tasks to enable the program to continue to move forward.
Yeah.
Great. Well,
and Chris, I think my only feedback and my concern for staff is I want to make sure that it's really clear to Cloverdale, once we decide which programs we want to focus on, it's really clear and easy for Cloverdale customers and for contractors to get moving on this, just making it streamlined as easily as possible. I think that what we're going to need to do on our side is make sure that we've got an area on the website that's dedicated to all of the programs that folks are eligible for. And Chris, I'd say keep talking to Skype and keep talking to Sonoma Clean Power, and maybe there needs to be a central location just at the county level or at the RCPA or at Sonoma Clean Power. Maybe, I don't know where it would be best located, but maybe there does need to be, a landing page that makes it really clear for anybody, whichever jurisdiction they're in, what they're eligible for and what the process is for getting these projects done. So, I mean, I'd say, we definitely want to, I think we'll probably be ready to go before that ever happens at RCPA, but I think that that's something that is really needed for all the residents of Sonoma County, especially in this drought, that it needs to be there. If there could be a one-stop shop for all of the energy and water rebates.
Yeah, what's your
Okay.
address and
Exactly. What
what
you
are your
exactly.
options?
Exactly. And I kind of remember Skype having something like that, like where, or I remember that being available, you know, for some
Yes.
other county programs. What's your address? Put it in there. Here are all the things you need to do. Is all your available, all of the applications you need to fill out, whether it's like it's commercial property, multi-family, or, you know, single family. And then here are the contractors. Here's the list of approved contractors. So I think that would be a really valuable resource for that, you know, all residents could use. And that way it takes the burden off of smaller cities like Sebastopol, Cotati, and Cloverdale to get that going. It would just, I think it would be more efficient if we had it for everybody.
Absolutely. It's more efficient to do it countywide.
Yeah.
And that is part of the discussion between the three program leads. Is
Awesome.
how do we make that happen? So
Well,
we're working on it.
I'm on 2 of those boards, so whatever you need, whenever you need help, let me know.
Okay. The deal.
Great. All right. Well, thanks, Chris. And with that, I think we'll move on to our next item. And it looks like credit card processing fee system. This sounds exciting. Who would like to take this on?
Madam Chair, our Finance Director, Susie Holmes, is going to cover this item. This is in relationship to the processing fees that credit card companies charge the city for enabling our customers to utilize that service. And because we are moving towards online permitting, we anticipate that the cost to the city is going to increase associated with customers using credit cards. And so our finance director took a look and evaluated that, and she's going to give an overview of some options and alternatives for us to address that. So with that, Susie, go ahead.
Thank you, David. Yeah, so as David was saying, we just recently did 2 contracts, one for business license administration and one that we're currently doing for the business license, for the building and permits. I anticipate that right now I'm averaging about 25% credit card usage for both business licenses and building permits. But I believe that once we start streamlining it and they can do everything online, and then the next step is enter your credit card number or your e-check, that it's probably going to be more like 75%, because otherwise they're going to have to actually come into City Hall and, you know, hand over a check to someone. And I don't see that happening. And I want to make sure that we know I'm not talking about utility bills, right? We currently pay the fee for the pass through of the credit cards for utility bills. And I'm not suggesting that we change that because I want to make sure that they're paid. But HDL, let's start with them. That's for business licenses. And they have it 2 ways. You can either do a pass-through convenience charge, or the agency can fund it at different rates. So if the agency funds it, it's 2.9% plus 30 cents a transaction, and then ACH are 50 cents per transaction, and then any returns need to be covered by the city. If we do the pass-through and have the customer pay for it, it's 2.9% or a minimum of $2. So you lose the 30 cent per transaction, and then the ACH or e-check is $1.25. There is a monthly fee of $32.51 on both. The difference, the additional processing fees, I believe, are going to be around $1,500 if the city continues to fund them. I am suggesting that we just have a convenience fee at the time that they process. And then for OpenGov, it's similar, except that their fees are the same, regardless of whether it's convenience fee or agency funded. but it's 2.99% plus 99 cents or $5.50 for an e-check. And then there is no monthly fee. I just took one charge and
one scenario.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't, I mean, the building permits typically have a lot of different fees associated with them. I only picked one fee and it was building permit fee. The charges for 2020 were $1,040. Our current processing fees are $420, but that's because the majority of people are paying with a check because they're already here. They're
Right.
paying with check. I'm anticipating that is going to go up from 25% to 75%, and the additional fees just for that one are going to be significant, $5,371.
Well, can I ask a stupid question?
Mhm.
Because I'm looking at this and it's like, it's so unfair because in my world, the more transactions you have, usually the best deal you can. So do they only let you use their gateway in these apps? That sucks.
Yes.
Because if you had all of the different options, if you could say, hey, send us a payment through PayPal, process the payment through PayPal, use whatever portal, you can get it down to where you're not getting charged necessarily a really exorbitant fee. And yeah, these are ridiculous.
I agree.
Okay, I'm glad we agree because that's yeah, this sucks. This really, this is unbelievable. Okay, so now that we've established the fact that you cannot shop around for payment portals is what it looks
No,
like.
I even asked if we could just continue with our current portal,
Right?
Our current merchant, and I was told no, that OpenGov has this specific one, and the same with HDL. They have a specific one that they go through.
Wow, and they have probably a sweetheart deal with them too.
Probably,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sucks. Okay, I've said that 3 times now, so sorry.
Yeah.
No, because it's not fair because it doesn't open it up to competition, so that the price can be lower. Okay, all right. And but at the same time, I mean, I know we're seeing incredible efficiencies, except for this conversation.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm suggesting that we do a cost recovery option and we charge the convenience fee to the customer. The other option is to increase the actual fees by these amounts. So
do we kind of know what other municipalities have done? Because I can see, I mean, I guess I would just recommend bringing both those options to the council and people, they can battle it out there, but what do you think?
yeah, and then there is a third option that.
Oh yeah, that's right. We haven't even
comes out of the general fund.
Sorry.
But I'm not recommending that.
Okay.
Yeah, I can bring those 2 items forward.
And so, I mean, how many transactions do you think once everybody's up and running and using this, how many transactions do you think you're seeing per month?
Ooh. Well, for business licenses, we do them typically the majority of them at one time, right? Because they all renew January 1st.
Mm-hmm.
So typically you would see more in December. I think they actually go out. So December and January, and there's about 600 transactions.
Oh wow.
For business building permits and encroachment permits, I'm sorry, I don't have that number.
I guess, if I were going to get really, business school about this, I guess what I'd say is, how much time does it represent at what hourly rate, and which is the better, and then which is the better savings for us? That's kind of would be my question.
Okay.
I mean, does that seem fair? Because then you need to know the quantity and you need to know the amount of time and how much, because that's really how much it's costing us if we're not doing it.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Is that too much to ask?
No, I did that when we did the business license permit and open.
Okay.
So I have.
Yeah, because I mean, the idea of you processing 600 payments, whether it's processing credit cards or checks. That's just awful.
Yeah.
That's no way to start the new year. And I think people like it. I think people like it and appreciate it and understand that we're trying to streamline. But I think that, we also have to say, this is how much it costs us.
Mhm.
And so, and then if it's a wash, if it's like, it's same amount of labor, then we just pay the bill.
Got it.
I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah. it does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions, or are there any comments, Irene? Nobody wants to tangle with this. This is, hey, you guys don't know what you're missing. So yeah, I think that just show us the numbers, and we'll go from there.
Okay, and just one more is that, if we don't do these, then we can't do them at all. We're gonna have to accept the payments.
Yeah.
And check form mailed to the city. So it kind of, it makes all of the advances that we've made toward, just
It washes, yeah, it's like all the savings are gone. So I think that, yeah. Let's just look at it as, how many transactions, how many hours, and, we'll just pick the cheaper one.
right. And it won't be as convenient for the customer either if,
Yeah.
so
It needs to be convenient for the customer.
I agree.
Okay. Everybody's in a digital world. So welcome to the 21st century, everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I think we'll move on to the next item. PG&E is up next. And Centrica Business Solutions. Is this city manager?
Madam Chair, I'll introduce this item again and then turn it over to Kevin to speak further. And I think we have a guest speaker that's going to give us an overview. This item was presented to our Planning and Sustainability Subcommittee, but we also
I get to get it again. Yay.
Part of the
I
reason
think this, what, we should have bumped this up to the front, David, because I've already seen this.
well, today, I think the focus, and part of the reason we're bringing it to the Finance, Admin, and Police Subcommittee is because of the financial
Here,
impact.
let me get my other hat.
All right.
There we go. All right, I got my other hat.
Perfect. But for those who may be listening, the city worked with Pacific Gas and Electric through their turnkey program to evaluate where we might be able to make energy efficient upgrades in our energy consuming devices, including City Hall and our utilities, and identify where we could implement new energy efficient software or infrastructure and improvements to generate savings and have that savings pay for itself on our on-bill utility bill. So it's kind of similar to the Bayran presentation, just for geared towards our electric bill. So Kevin, if you want to take it from there.
Yeah, just real quick. I know, Madam Chair, you've sat through this, but for those out there, we did a couple walkthroughs of all our facilities. Centrica, which is PG&E's sub, has put together a list of potential projects that, again, some are a longer payback, some are better. So that's kind of the best scenario. You put the ones that aren't as good in with the really good ones, so that we can get, at this point, it's looking like, a 15-year payback. There is some opportunity for us to pay that down and get that quicker. But just some of the example projects are things at the wastewater, the water facility, HVAC for almost all of our facilities, solar. I don't see Brooklyn on the call. I don't know if he's still here, but there was a list. Oh, and where we are right now is they've done some preliminary numbers and things look pretty good. But the next step is really this, what do they call it, David? Industrial grade audit, where it's much more in depth, and there'll be a lot more numbers to present once that's completed. So that's the next step in this process. We need to sign an agreement with PG&E to allow them to do that. But again, the whole idea here is it would be no money out of pocket. It would pay back over time. So that is it. I don't know if,
Kind of like the last presentation.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
sensing a theme
There's
here.
a theme here.
Well, just real quick. I mean, a lot of our stuff is super old. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
at the end, it's beyond its useful life. So we're gonna have to start replacing that stuff anyway. And we've been talking about some of these items in the budget and in the capital improvement plan. So
I'm
if we
gonna
can
say,
talk,
why don't you just like hand them the CIP and say, here, you know?
yeah, well, we've been through all the facilities. I think they
Yeah.
have a keen eye for which ones make good sense. But anyway, some of them are in there already. So again, it's really two birds with one stone. Next step is this audit. And I don't know if Brooklyn is here or not, but no, he's not.
No, okay, well, you
Okay.
know,
And just in summary, the preliminary financial analysis identified we could generate about a savings of approximately $235,000 annually over about a 15-year period on our PG&E bill in both gas and electricity, which would pay for the capital cost of the improvements over that same period of time. So we're basically it's an on-bill utility financing program for major infrastructure improvements that generate energy savings and therefore cost savings.
The greenhouse gas reduction. And then the other thing that's not really quantified at this time is how much time our guys go out spending, fixing this old stuff that every year has to be fixed. So
yeah, how many hours that represents.
yeah, and I don't know if
Yeah.
we'll ever be able to quantify that like exactly, but it's there. It's a legitimate savings.
Yeah.
So I guess
absolutely.
David, are we planning to bring, I think Jose has the agreement now. And I think we'll be bringing that to council as soon as Jose gives us the green light.
Right, very similar process to the Bayran program, master services agreement. And ultimately that will require council approval. And we'll want to bring that forward with the investment grade assessment. So we have a more clear idea on the cost savings that would be generated by the improvements. And we want to make sure that council supports the improvements. For example, one of the proposed concepts is installation of photovoltaics for the police department. And so obviously that raises some policy questions about the long-term viability of the use of the existing police station and reinvesting in that as the home for our officers and our dispatchers.
Well, I think that, one of the questions that came up last time we were talking about this is, the repurposing of some of this equipment. I mean, obviously structurally, the question is, can the building handle it? And also, secondly, can we repurpose it? And I guess I would insist that in an industrial review, and I'm assuming that by industrial, you mean like getting down to actual nuts and bolts and equipment, is that's a big question. Is that we have a couple of buildings that we are a little bit hesitant to invest in, and we would want to be assured that we will be able to repurpose some of this equipment if we do build a different building. I mean, one of the other options out front of the police station would be to put a parking, or to put raised solar panels over the parking out in front of the police station, for example, or maybe other areas of the plaza or some or other city-owned property. So, obviously kind of like first choice, second choice, third choice. That's kind of what I would be interested in making sure we have in any industrial level plan.
And as it was currently planned, at least in terms of the photovoltaics, was a parking shade structure that could be located in the existing parking area. So
yeah, because that can stay there. Now that we don't have fire trucks going in and out of there, that's fine. So okay.
Yeah, I think Cloverdale is a good one for them, given the age of a lot of our equipment. So
how nice of them to come up with this program right when everything is wearing out.
Well, and you said they have looked at the equipment pretty closely and take pictures of the model numbers. And so they do know more than just, but they still need this
Yeah.
industrial grade. Anyway, so
And that's probably, yeah, like fixtures and installation and things like that too. That's the more than just, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, great. Well, I mean, I'd say move forward and yeah, take it to the next steps. It's especially, I mean, since I've heard this before, yeah, although I will open it for public comment if anyone would like to comment or ask questions about this item.
No hands are raised, Chair.
But yeah, we've spent a lot of time on this. I'm pretty familiar with
Right.
it. I think we're ready to move forward. So great. All right. Well, then with that, let me go back to my handy agenda. See, what do we have next? We have, item D, rebranding of city park department services. So are we going to do like the Parks and Rec logo?
Well, Mayor,
Is that
Madam,
copywritten?
let me touch on this. So one of the discussions I've had with council is interest in elevating parks within the city's organizational structure. Currently, parks does not exist as its own department. It's really a division within the Public Works Department. And based on my assessment and looking particularly around Sonoma County, you'll find that most park functions sit either within community services in smaller type cities like Cloverdale, or where in larger communities they sit within a more formal park and recreation department, similar to our Public Works Department or Police Department or Community Development Department. And what I see happening in our community is a real desire for utilization of our parks. We don't really have or offer any programming services, but we often hear the term our Parks Department, and technically it's a misnomer in the sense that we don't physically have a department, though we do from a budgetary standpoint. In our budget we have a specific budget we call the Parks Department budget, but again it's referring to a division. So wanted to bring forward a discussion item to talk about what are some options and alternatives for rebranding our park services and what that might look like. I think there are a couple of options. One that I thought would be something that would be worth considering further is, similar to parks being within community services, is again maybe not having the institutional capacity at this particular time to establish a standalone park department, is maybe bringing it up into elevating parks into community development. I've heard an interest in community development doing more community services functions, and I thought this might be one opportunity for us to elevate parks, is to bring parks up and have it be part of the community development function. And some ideas that support that is our parks supervisor, our parks lead, currently is also our city arborist, and city arborist functions often are found kind of tied to community services and also support community development. Obviously we have a couple of new developments that are coming online with, or at least in the process, with Baumgardner, where there's a desire to establish some new parks, and being part of that park development process, again, kind of ties it to new development and community development. And then last but not least, the grants function and funding park improvements kind of fits within, as I see it, kind of that community development function. So, one of my ideas is to, of elevating parks would be to bring it, kind of elevate and name and bring it into the community development department. We could keep all the same functions and the reporting, the organizational reporting structure the same. But we could also look at, realigning the org chart and bringing that that role and have it report to, the community development director. Some of that is based on, I think, other organizational needs, particularly in public works, where there's a tremendous need to focus our team on water and wastewater projects, and it would help to alleviate some of the the management requirements of the parks function within public works. But there still remains the need to, because we do have a small staff, for continued rotation of our park staff as part of call outs for service, especially on weekends and things like that. So again, that's kind of looking at it from the organizational perspective, but I think where there's tremendous value is really looking at it from the community side. And our current parks supervisor has a long history of working with our service groups, including our youth soccer, our women's softball and little league, and also exploring opportunities where we can enhance programming of our parks, particularly starting with some of our existing nonprofit organizations. And I'm thinking, kind of top of mind is the Senior Center, and looking at opportunities to work with the Senior Center, who's very interested in exploring ways in which they can program our parks, for such things as like yoga in the park, might be an example. We also have and have had for a long time our pool program. That's been a function that's been managed within the city manager's office, and I kind of see that it is tied to a parks function under community development as well, and providing again that valuable community service that our community so demands, and during the hot summer season, and being able to enjoy the cool aquatic environment of our pool. So at this point, we wanted to just bring it forward for discussion and to seek what opportunities there might be to rebrand our parks department, mainly in function. I mean, not so much in function, but in terms of name recognition for our community, and also setting the stage for the possibility of additional services that might be able to be provided by the city by enhancing some of the relationships we have with our sports leagues and our nonprofit groups. And I asked Hector to join. I know he's very active in working with our nonprofits, especially our leagues. He's very knowledgeable in how to enhance the park services that are provided to those groups. And I anticipate he'd like to offer a few comments on this, Madam Chair.
Well, I see him with his hand raised, so yeah, go ahead, Hector.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you, David. You pretty much covered my my whole speech, so thank you for that. Well, yeah, as you guys know, I've been with the city now going on 13 years this November. It'll be 13 years, and obviously, you guys know that I'm invested in cultivating a long-term success within the department, and especially with my community here. Each year, I seen in the last 13 years or so, each year I've seen a consistent growth and a greater demand on parks resources, and the growing need for a community focus approach to our parks. For me, it means offering more and dedicating more time towards the recreation department, and like David mentioned, just getting more involved with the leagues, the local sporting leagues and just creating, just simple things like little basketball camps, soccer camps for the kids, t-ball, and just organized activities, even in our open space with just recreation activities up there. And by allocating the time to do that, I think we can definitely manage to do that. But we have to, like David said, we have to take the appropriate steps to get there. And I'm like very excited. That's why I stuck around here. I said I'm not going nowhere. So, but yeah, and that's really how I can see the Parks Department here in the future, kind of like not like a Hillsburg type, just to, yeah, especially with COVID and all the stuff that's going on. After this all goes through, I think the kids are going to need more, especially here in town. They're actually going to need more, recreation activities to spend some time and catch up of all the time that they lost. So.
Yeah, more organized stuff outside.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's going to
Yeah.
be really important. I think it's just so great that you recognize that, and I think that the time has definitely arrived that we take that step. I'm very happy to hear about this, and I think that we have such an amazing the parks that we do have are so great. I mean, they really are. I mean, City Park is just a jewel. People, I know people come from out of town and they're like, oh my gosh, I can't, this is
Yep.
like the park that I grew, I used to have in my town.
Right.
It just is so nostalgic and so beautiful. And it's just but also just like totally low key, just,
Yeah.
really approachable and just a really beautiful neighborhood park. I mean, Clark Park is is a great spot. Ferber Park is a great spot. We have the open spaces, and I think that you're right. I think now is the time to, as people are going to be able to come out, is to have some more organized activities, and it really takes somebody to take the lead on that and just organize it. I think it's a great idea. Just, have some organized stuff for Porterfield Creek. We have Mimi Enright from the UC Extension right here in Cloverdale. We have we have a guy, I can't remember his last name. I think his name is David, but he's like a wildflower expert, and he's like led naturalist hikes. So it's like, if we put the word, if we just elevate this a little bit and can organize it and put the word out, we have folks here in town who have expertise who, I know will jump in and help out. And then the yoga in the park happened organically because of COVID.
Right.
The senior center just took, said, hey, well, we could do this. And we didn't have any framework to organize it. So if we just kind of give it a little bit of staff time and a little bit of love, I think we could have some really great programs. And I definitely think you're the person to lead it. So yeah, I'd love to see this move forward to the whole council. And since I'm the only vote, but before we do that, let's open it up to public comment. Is there anyone who'd like to speak up on this issue? Irene, do we have anybody?
No hands are raised, Chair.
Okay, great. Well, does that give enough direction to staff?
Thank
Any
you, ma'am.
other comments or questions?
And we, there are still some organizational, internal organizational matters that we need to, address and work out. But we just wanted to at least bring the concept forward. I know we have a staff member in Hector that's, more than willing and ready to, work with our nonprofit community and our residents on, kind of building up the park services and these recreation services that we can offer. But we want to ensure, that it works for the entire organization from a management perspective, and also provide the right opportunities for Hector and the parks team to thrive under a different and it's part of this rebranding effort. So a little more work to do, but we'd like to bring this forward. I think it's offers some real opportunities that benefit, again, community, and that's really what this proposal is all about, is how we can meet the needs going forward and ultimately, set the stage for at some point in the future having a standalone either community services department or parks department, when we're positioned to do so.
Yeah, and I think that the timing is especially good now as we're coming out of COVID, because I know, we got parents of young kids. I know Kevin and, Hector's kids are relatively young. Parents who are going back to work are really challenged right now. I mean, really challenged. It is that transition and that re-socialization, and getting kids back into programs and programs that are safe. I think that the feedback that I've gotten from parents in this town are that they need stuff like this. I think that this will be very welcome, and the timing is really, really great. So yeah, I'm very happy to see this move forward for the council's consideration. And I guess, I think some questions that I think I'll have, when we kind of take this to the next level, just so you'll be prepared, is that, well, how much administration will the city do? I mean, and we do have a really good model just south of us. Healdsburg has a really great, they have a far more budget and far more extensive, parks and rec program, but it is we can steal some ideas from them as well. But I guess, some questions that I'll have, and probably other council members and members of the community will have, is that, at least for the time being, pre-registration and people knowing about, the restrictions about, your temperature is going to be taken and you're going to need to sign a waiver. So are the nonprofits going to kind of take more of the lead and the responsibility on that? Or is that something that the city will do on some, or, all of the activities? And I'm sure that that's something that the city attorney is, going to look at very, very closely, is what level of liability we will take on. Are we going to be more involved in just outreach and bringing programs to the park and having, established organizations, either, take payments or save spaces and classes and take care of, waivers and COVID, or are we going to take that on in certain situations? So, I'm sure that farther down the road, those are the kinds of questions that we're going to need to have answers to, so that we make sure that it's safe for everybody in the community, and it's also, easy and fun for everybody in the community.
Right.
Absolutely,
Just-
Madam Chair. And I think
Go ahead.
I was just going to just kind of answer your initial question about, who might oversee some of the activities. I think at least initially it would be looking at who we can partner with to provide the programming.
Yes, I know the senior center is like, they're turnkey,
right.
they're ready to go, but other groups may not be. So
Yeah. Just generally, really quick, the ones I've seen is really the city kind of takes the lead on the reservations and things like that. And they hire the teachers and they just have a split.
yeah,
The teacher takes 70-30. I don't know
right,
exactly.
like Tai Chi in the park or yoga in the park.
Right. We
Yeah.
we handle the administration piece, but anyway, there's a lot more to do. So we'll learn a lot more and bring back more information.
Yeah,
But
that sounds-
that's the way I've seen it for a simple program.
right.
We would be
No,
starting.
I think it's a great idea. I'm glad that staff's taking the initiative, and yeah, I look forward to moving this along.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right.
Great.
Thank you, Hector.
Thank you. Thank you guys for your time.
All right, careful what you ask for. All right. And with that, we will move on to standing items. And if you go down the list, city manager, because we have a lot of stuff that's open. Just tell me what's pertinent, and let's just hit that.
Well, I do want item 6D. There is a report in your packet on Measure P.
Oh, great.
That's an important item from a budgetary perspective.
Okay.
And Susie, if you agree, Madam Chair, we can touch on any items that you like. But that was one I just wanted to point out. We do have information in the packet, and I would also recommend we talk briefly about 6F, update on OpenGov.
Great.
Yeah,
Let's concentrate on those two. Okay.
I do have a small update on 6E as well.
Okay, I'm just marking that in my packet. There we go. Well, great. Why don't we just go ahead and start with D and the measure P. We always like to talk about revenues, right, Susie?
Right.
All right.
So it's in the packet. The report is, let me try to get to it because it's,
Yeah.
It's 90.
Page 96.
okay, thanks. So we received $20,000 in revenue, 20,781.
Mhm.
But one thing to note is that April 30th fell on a Friday. Sometimes the deposits go in after that, and so you won't see it until May 1st.
Okay.
So May, I expect, will be a little bit larger than.
And that's probably like what happened a couple months earlier when we saw a dip. It was just like a Friday.
Yep.
And then it just went over into the next month. Okay.
And
Yeah.
sometimes it's Saturday, and so it automatically would be Monday or the first day of the month.
It didn't seem statistically significant, just a little blip. So,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it was pretty straightforward. I don't have any questions. Are there any comments or questions from the public on our cannabis revenues?
No hands are raised, Chair.
All right. Well, with that, let's move on to, what did we highlighted the next one. So E.
Okay, so I just want to give a quick update on how PERS did with their investment returns. They have a target rate of 7%, and in for the calendar year of 2020, they had they recorded 12.4%. So that's great news. They're not planning on making any adjustments because of that. They want to, they're kind of looking long term, but they are saying that the reason for their higher rate of return was their focus on investment diversity and moderate level of risk. So
Great. Well, yeah, this is my week of getting everything twice because I got the presentation at the league.
oh
Yeah. So, but it was a lot longer. So thanks. And that was the meeting. I might have mentioned it at the last subcommittee meeting. That was the meeting where the CalPERS CFO's dog interrupted him and he had to let him out. So just goes to show it happens to all of us.
yes,
Yeah.
funny.
Because that was very humanizing. It was a very, very real moment. I'm sorry, I gotta let my dog out. Great. Any comments or questions on the pension liability update? You see anything, Irene?
No hands, Chair.
Okay, let's move on to item F and update on OpenGov. What do we have?
Well, I can go. We've had a few delays on the permitting module, I have to admit, but it's May 17th and there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Well, yeah, I'm just
There's no going back.
there's no going back. There's no going back. And we're working through some glitches on the scanning job and how it interfaces with OpenGov. I think it's resolved. I'll just tell you, it's kind of above my pay grade. It's a couple engineers talking about meta files and things that I'm not too
That's
sure
a
of.
really gnarly process. I
Yeah,
know.
but-
Yeah.
They are picking up the boxes tomorrow, and it'll be 1 week. They'll be scanned, and then well, I'm hoping that these two engineers can work it out and get it into OpenGov fairly easily.
Yeah.
So
And they're just working on making it searchable and
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
just we've been using the address as the known identifier, but OpenGov wants something different. And I don't want to get into weeds because I'll be out of my league pretty quick, but that's the shortest version. So I think they have it worked out. And either way, we're going ahead with the scanning tomorrow.
that's exciting. That's great.
Yeah. It's gonna be great.
It'll be great when it works.
Yeah, it'll be painful, but once it works, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's really better than like going into that old trailer and digging through rolls and yeah, dying from mildew and inhalation. So that's great news. Any comments from the public, Irene?
No hands, Chair.
Okay,
And before we move on, Madam Chair, did also want to report that we are scheduled to have a budget workshop on Wednesday, May 5th.
yeah.
The budget is entirely within an online budget book. So it's going to be really the first time that council is going to be utilizing an all digital budget document that will be available again by logging in to the website, and Susie will give you an overview of that during our budget workshop. The budget workshop still going to be kind of focused on some traditional elements of budgeting in terms of policy direction on funding and perspectives on revenues and expenditures. But the OpenGov tool will be a new tool that is going to be utilized for really taking a look at the budget, but also the transparency tools that it provides and real-time charts and graphs that will be available to members of the community to actually view what is otherwise going to be real-time data. So, Susie, is there anything you want to share with Chair Bagby in regards?
Have you sent the link out yet?
I think it's going out this afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good, because I didn't miss it.
Yeah. Let's see. The only other thing I want to add is that OpenGov has been great. I mean, there's been a few things like, oh, you can't have it if it's password protected, that type of thing.
Right. All those
Then it
little
won't
fun,
display.
yeah. All
Yeah,
those fun glitches that happen. Yeah.
Yeah, so we thought we had it all done. We looked at it and it was like, well, it's just a skeleton. There's no data. Where did everything go? And then, yeah, found out that we just need to remove the password. So,
Yeah. You don't have rights to open the data table. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've been there and done that too. So
yeah. And the OpenGov, they just keep building more and more different types of reports. So some of the reports that we really want, or I really wanted to show anyway, they weren't as great as what we would want, but they're working on them, and they said, that we're currently working on it, and we hope to have it active. You can try it if you want. And I was like, yeah, I'll just stick with my spreadsheet. So there are some things that are just pictures of a spreadsheet that are in there, but it looks really professional and nice, and I'm very happy with it.
oh, that's great. We've come a long way from those big binders, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the last piece, I believe, for us, and I think tomorrow is our meeting, and I think I'm almost positive we'll be done, is putting that transparency portal on our website.
Great.
Yeah.
Cool. And then people can, go at it.
Yeah.
And Susie, would you be willing just to do a screen share of the front page of the budget book?
Yeah.
Is there a dashboard for the budget book?
There is.
Cool.
Let me get to it really quick. So this is what it's going to look like when you go into it, and you're going to go to stories and then proposed budget table. And anything that's underlined has data in there.
Yeah.
But let's just show you fund balances. This is a picture. It's not actually done through, but let me make it bigger. Is that big enough? Can you see?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So, so it's really nice. And then at the bottom, just while you're scrolling through here, is return to table of content. So you don't go back and back and back. And you could just click on any of them and I'll take you right to the budget. So now we're looking at general fund revenues. It breaks it down by property tax, sales tax, cannabis. You can also collapse it all and just show it like that.
Oh, that's great. Oh man, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's just, and it's the same way in, let me go to one that has You go to the bottom.
Yeah, the people who have used this just rave, and it's like, well, it sounds great, and but you have to see it.
It really is. It really is.
Oh, it's just going to make things so much easier.
So city manager is what we're looking at now. It shows the authorized positions. And then if you go down below, it shows salaries and employee and then services and supplies. But if you click on it, then you can expand all, but
Go into the departments. Yeah.
yeah, you
Oh,
can go
great.
into each of the things.
Cool.
The one thing that it doesn't do is show like, doesn't show like the detail for like what makes up this 2,500. So you won't
Right.
see that, but you will.
Well, that
see-
was the dog show in Honolulu, right?
Yeah.
It was on city expense.
Yeah. Right.
We don't show that detail.
And this shows our 2021 budget. It shows what we've spent as of last night at say 3 o'clock in the morning. So as of the close of business yesterday. And then it shows our budget. Now, a lot of these are obviously things that were either delayed in our in the billing, like legal. I'm using that as an example. Like we haven't received March, or we just received March, so it hasn't been paid. So we're behind in billing a little bit, or they're behind in. We received their bills later. Neither one of us are behind, but we received their bill later, and then and so those haven't been paid, which is why it looks like we've spent not quite half.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, this is great. I think this is so worth it. I mean,
I do too. And
Yeah.
it was so much easier for everyone.
yeah.
I
And
mean,
it's going to get easier, and it's just going to be more efficient as we move on.
and next year we'll have a projected actual in here too. So it'll have the actual, what we're projecting. But that was an afterthought. I didn't think about that until it was like, so we have a separate budget for projected, which we can share. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was next year. It'll
Next year.
be better.
There you go.
And next
There you
year
go.
it'll be 2-year, right?
Right. Continual improvement. That's
Yeah.
all. Yeah. That's what we're shooting for.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah,
Oh,
and it was
thanks.
really a time saver. I mean, besides for the finance team, it was a real time saver for staff that was preparing the budget. We often were entering data 2 or 3 times, or
Yeah.
even 4 times, where this facilitated you put it in once, and if the
Yeah.
number
When you put it in one place, that's it.
that's
Yeah.
it.
No, I mean, you guys are knowledge workers, and it has to be as efficient as possible. So yeah, you can't be working in paper with triple entry in a knowledge-based world. So this is a great move.
Yeah, normally we would schedule 2 to 3 sessions with each department for 3 hours. This time we did almost all of them, with the exception of a few. It did take 2.
Yeah,
But with all of the other ones took 1.
that's fantastic. Yeah, and it's going to get more efficient as
Yeah.
we move on and get used to it. So great work, everybody. And then it frees you up to to do other valuable things like implement the Bay ran on bill financing.
Right.
Either we can keep doing the same work the same way and not offer new services, or we can do the same work in more efficiently and then have the bandwidth to offer these services to residents. So I think that's the double payoff.
Right.
Right there.
And you don't have to worry about any formula errors.
Right. Oh God, yeah, exactly.
Work
Or
smarter, not harder,
or
right?
by the time you second or third in or something, it's like, good luck.
Yeah.
Great. Now that's great news. Thanks for the update. Are there any comments from in the public, Irene? Before?
No hands are raised, Chair.
Okay. Anything from staff?
Oh, I'm excited for the budget workshop for us to unveil the work that Susie and Shannon have been really working on for about 4 months now to bring this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the
Uh,
big
so-
reveal.
It's the big reveal, and it really is the start. There's still some learning that's being done for all of us, the senior staff using the program. But as we become more efficient and more familiar, we'll get better at it. But you're absolutely right, Madam Chair, that it is going to help free up our time. I just know the amount of paper savings that is already. We are printing a lot of documents and trying to do virtual.
Reams. I mean, reams of paper.
And it had to be
Literally.
thick paper. It couldn't just be regular paper.
Oh no. And how many paper cuts are we saving Irene from? I think that's that alone. So that's great. Well, I was only gonna I was gonna tell Irene and David, and I'll tell you guys now, just so that you know. Because I'm really looking forward to the budget meeting on Wednesday. I get my second COVID shot tomorrow, and I'm really hoping that it does not throw me for a loop, because I don't want to miss. I'm excited about the budget meeting, but if I'm sick, I'm sick. So I'll just that's the only thing that would keep me from experiencing open gut on Monday morning. So fingers crossed. Hopefully, I won't get hit too hard.
Is it Pfizer or Moderna? Or do
It's
you not-
it's Moderna, yeah, and it's at the train depot. So yeah, it's at the drive up. So I'm excited, but I'm also like telling everybody, I'm hoping it's not going to be bad. But if I'm not there, I'm not there. And of course, I have a ton of meetings this week, so I'll just I will do my best. Okay, so but I would not miss it if I did. The only reason I would miss it if I feel really sick. So don't don't take it personally. Okay, so with that, let's move on to future agenda items and 7A SB1 projects and funding. Does anybody have an update?
This item the SB1 list did go to council, and council adopted the SB1 list.
Then, I think we're done with that. Should we just go ahead and take it off the list in the future, or do you want to keep it on there for updates?
Subcommittee. So I think if we keep it as a standing item on Public Works.
Okay, yeah, let's take it off our list. And then dash transportation for seniors. That's definitely something that there's interest in at the senior center. Do we have any update on?
I don't have any updates on the DASH program. I need to follow up with Melanie Hall.
Okay, great. And if we get it on the agenda, we'll move it off a future and make it a real boy, like Pinocchio. And then service and inquiry request tracker. I don't even know what that is.
Well, that was to as part of our ERM ERP to have a system for.
I asked for that. That's mine.
We had actually, through our website provider, Civic Plus, does have a tool available that's relatively low cost. We were reviewing it with Public Works staff. I think.
Oh, great.
Public Works staff wanted something a little more robust, where there actually could,
like a ticket manager,
schedule, where it starts to schedule. And I think that gets into a system that's tends to lean towards a server-based system.
Yeah. Well, no, there's still plenty of services that do that in the cloud, though. That CRM that generates a help ticket kind of thing. So I guess we'll just have to see. Did you think that the Civic Plus was not robust enough for?
Well, I liked it for the citizen component, because it tied to our website, and allows right now the service request is all paper based.
Yeah.
So I mean, now folks can do a PDF, or they can send in an email, of course, but
That's not electronic, David.
I know. But
I know you're younger than me. I know you know. Yeah.
And we've just been making a lot of investments in technology, and we want to continue to do that. We're trying to kind of finish up
Well, can we, let's just leave it, let's leave it for now, and then when you feel like you have the bandwidth for it, let's bring it forward and take a look at it.
Okay.
But yeah, let's leave it on future agenda items. Yeah, I think you've really had your plate full with OpenGov and with the permitting system and the budget, and it's just like, yeah, we've had a lot going on.
Right.
But yeah, when you're ready, let's leave that on there, and when you're ready to take it up, we can do it then.
Perfect.
All right, anything else? Or any other public comments, Irene, on future agenda items?
None at this time, Chair.
Okay, good of the order. I think I gave you my good of the order. Fingers crossed, knock on wood, I'm gonna get my second shot and still and be at meetings this week. And if I'm not, I'm not. Any other announcements from anybody? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and adjourn to our next meeting on Monday, June 7th. Everybody stay well and have a great week.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Great. Thank you.
Staff.
Thank you, staff.